Hey guys, welcome back. We are into December now. So in today's video, I want to talk about a few of the different hunting opportunities that we try to take advantage of in the month of December. In this video, we are going to be talking about 3 different hunting opportunities, and while I think that they are all equally important, I'm going to be starting out with the one that I think you guys are going to be the most interested in first, and that's opportunities at your target buck. I read each and every one of the comments that you guys make on the videos, and I try to respond to each and every one of them. So I do know that there are quite a few of you guys out there that have already had success and put a tag on your target buck. There's also guys that found out that the deer that they were after this season was unfortunately shot by someone on a neighboring parcel. However, I know there's still quite a few hunters out there that are still going after their target buck, and they know he's alive based on recent trail camera information. And you still have a few good opportunities to go after him in the month of December. And the first opportunity that I want to talk about where you have an increased chance of having an encounter with your target buck is the second rut. And depending on your source of information, what you're reading, who you're talking to, people are going to call the second rut different things. Some people will just call it a continuation of the first rut, while other people will call it a second rut. One thing you have to understand is there's going to be a second spike in breeding in early December. Here where we hunt in mid-Michigan, that second smaller spike of breeding takes place at the same time every year. Just like the pre-rut takes place at the same time every year, the rut takes place at the same time every year, that second rut also takes place at the same time every single season. And for us, it's right around the 3rd of December until the 10th of December. That's when we notice from personal observation from the stand, as well as trail camera photos, that these bucks and the older bucks, they're up on their feet again looking for does. Those does that were not bred during the primary rut, they're going to go into heat again, along with those doe fawns. As long as they've hit a certain body weight, they're going to go into heat for the first time. The older bucks in the neighborhood, they know this is coming. They've been here before, so they're going to be on their feet searching for that next receptive doe. So although the secondary rut, that second spike in breeding that takes place in December, isn't as long as the primary rut, it's still a pretty good opportunity to find one of those older bucks walking around during daylight. And one thing that you need to make sure that you're taking into consideration when you are hunting that secondary rut in December is that you are hunting where the deer are now. So you're not necessarily hunting where they were in late October, in early November. Now, sometimes they can be the same, but depending on the year and the weather, it could have gotten really cold, you could have received a lot of snowfall, and those deer could have shifted into those late season patterns. And I'm not going to go into the late season patterns in this video, only because we just did an entire video on that subject 2 weeks ago, and I'll link it above. But just understand that when you're hunting the secondary rut, because there have been so many changes over the past month, whether that be weather, hunting pressure, there's a lot of changes that could have shifted the patterns of the local deer herd, and you need to hunt where they are now, not necessarily where they were 2 weeks ago or a month ago. As far as the strategies that we like to focus on for hunting the secondary rut, a lot of it can be carried over from the primary rut. We still like hunting those funnels, the connecting cover that might connect one woodlot to the other. So as these bucks are traveling, looking for that next hot doe, they're gonna use these thin strips of cover, these funnels, to get from point A to point B. We also really like hunting pinch points in between 2 different doe bedding areas, or hunting pinch points in between bedding and food. One strategy that is a little bit different during the secondary rut as opposed to the primary rut, and this is even more the case during that really harsh late season weather, is that we like to focus more on those late mornings and those evening sits as opposed to those morning hunts. As we push later into the season, the temperature really starts to drop. The hunting pressure has been through the roof the last couple weeks. The deer herd doesn't really move a whole lot during those morning hunts, especially early in the morning. Once it starts warming up a little bit throughout the day, especially on those clear days where the sun is out warming up the woods, that's when those deer tend to start moving around a little bit more during the late season. So because of this, if we are going to be hunting in the morning, we're going to be focusing more on that late morning to midday movement when things start to warm up a little bit and those deer tend to be a little bit more active. But if you're looking for one of the higher probability times and locations to hunt during the secondary rut, or really any time during the month of December, the late season, that's an evening hunt over a food source. This is a very stressful time in the deer woods. As we mentioned before, the hunting pressure has been through the roof, the food sources are starting to go dormant, and the snow is starting to come down. The deer herd, and especially those bucks, need to do everything that they can to replenish the energy that they lost during the rut. So they're going to be hitting food sources to, again, replenish those fat reserves to help them survive the winter. This makes the local deer herd, which includes the local bucks, fairly predictable during the later part of the season, which again is the second opportunity that we like to try to capitalize during the month of December, and that's hunting over a food source in the evening. Not only are the bucks going to be looking for receptive does during that secondary rut, which is going to put them on or around those food sources in the evenings, but those bucks also lost a lot of body weight chasing does during the primary rut. And again, they need to replenish those fat reserves to increase their chances of surviving the harsh winter. So even after that secondary spike of breeding takes place in early December, you still have an opportunity to harvest one of those older bucks in the neighborhood as they move to those high quality food sources in the evening throughout the month of December. The second hunting opportunity that we like to take advantage of in the month of December revolves around our doe harvest. We do a lot of our doe management later in the season, and the late season can be a great time to take a doe, 2 or 10 off your property if the neighborhood needs it. And why I say it like that is because every area is unique. Every area has a different deer density, every area has a different carrying capacity or how many deer that area can support. So there are some areas where you might need to harvest 1 or 2 does, other areas where you might need to harvest 10 or more does, and there's also going to be areas where you don't need to harvest any does at all. Every area is different, so you, along with your neighbors, just want to make sure that your area doesn't exceed the carrying capacity for how many deer that area can support. And there's a number of reasons as to why you want to make sure that your area is not exceeding the carrying capacity. The more deer you have, the more mouths you have to feed, the more they're going to consume. And if you have too many deer in the area, they can really destroy the habitat, decimate those food sources, which will increase the stress on the entire herd over the winter, and you're going to be bringing a less healthy deer herd into the spring. So herd health is a big reason. Destruction of habitat is another big reason as to why you want to take doe management seriously and make sure that you're not exceeding your carrying capacity. But also for those of you guys that like to see bucks with larger antlers, the healthier your bucks are, the less stressed out your bucks are, the more they're going to express their genetic potential when it comes to antler development. So that's again another reason to take doe management seriously. And again, not every property is the same. There are some properties where you need to harvest a lot of does, and there are other properties on the flip side that don't need to harvest any does. And I'll just give you guys 2 examples from properties that I've hunted in the past. We hunt right now a property in mid-Michigan that we need to harvest does. We have too many does on that property, and this year we're probably going to try to shoot anywhere from 3 to 5 does off that property. So along with our neighbors, hopefully we can make a dent in the doe population. On the flip side of that, I hunted a property down in Barry County. This was the previous property that we owned, that we've showed a lot of video on this channel in the past. And on that property, in the entire time we were there, 4 years we were there, we didn't harvest a single doe. And it's because we didn't have a lot of deer in the area and we did not need to harvest any does. Whether it was from the neighboring hunters or from the local farmers with damage permits, we didn't have a whole lot of deer in that area. So that was a property that we were hunting where we didn't have to harvest any does, while at the same time hunting a property where we had to harvest probably 3 to 5 does ourselves along with our neighbors to try to keep the population in check. And for the most part, we like to do most of our doe management towards the end of the hunting season after that second firearm season is over. So where we hunt, there's a muzzleloader season, but it's really just firearm season 2.0. You can use any legal firearm. So we try to wait until that's done, and then we start to work on our doe harvest. We try to wait until that second firearm season is over. That way we don't accidentally push one of those bucks that we're trying to protect to the neighbors and accidentally get them shot. There is an early antlerless season here in Michigan, and I know a lot of guys take advantage of that. We tend to do most of our doe management, again, in December, in the late season. They seem to be just as predictable as the early season as they're heading to those food sources. So again, the second hunting opportunity that we like to take advantage of in the month of December is harvesting does. The third and final hunting opportunity that we try to take advantage of in the month of December are mentor hunts. And these a lot of times will go hand in hand with those doe management hunts. And the last couple of years, this has become more important to me than it was in the past. And it's because my kids are finally getting old enough to come sit with me. But even if you don't have kids, if you need to harvest a few does off your property, this can be a great opportunity to take somebody hunting who wouldn't otherwise have had that chance. Hunting numbers overall are starting to decline, so it's very important that us hunters, and even more important that us private landowners, try to introduce new people to hunting so that this sport has a future for our kids and our grandchildren to enjoy. Now, I'm not saying that you introduce and bring a new hunter along with you on a pre-rut hunt or a rut hunt. You know, you've put way too much time and money into your property for that. I would never do that. But during the late season, when the pressure seems to be off a little bit, and I'm not talking about hunting pressure, but more the pressure you put on yourself during those pre-rut hunts, during those rut hunts. You know, during a doe management hunt, you're going after a few does, the pressure seems to be a little bit lower. These are great opportunities to take somebody out and show them what hunting is all about. Along with taking my son out with me hunting the past couple years, and hopefully my daughter will get to go next year, but we also try to take out a new hunter every single year, whether that's a friend of the family, maybe a friend of a friend, but someone who knows someone who is interested in hunting but might not have had any opportunities to go, and that's where we can kind of help them out. We can take an opportunity to take them out on a low pressure doe management hunt, higher probability of seeing a deer, higher probability of harvesting a deer, give them a glimpse as to what hunting is about, and you never know, you might have just created a lifelong hunter. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video, and those are the three main hunting opportunities that we're trying to take advantage of in the month of December. If you have any other hunting opportunities that you guys try to take advantage of during the month of December, I'd love to hear about them, or if you have any questions, please drop those in the comment section below. I'll get back to those as soon as I can, and we will see you guys in the next video.